women, wives, mothers, all daughters of Christ. Join me in this special series of the Feeding Solutions podcast called Table Talk, where we bring to the table all things that the Lord calls of us as His daughters, because it is enough to be known by Him. Join us as we feed each other and grow closer to the Lord. Good day. I am so excited to be here to record another special edition of the Feeding Solutions podcast, which is Table Talk. And this is a special time because I get to reach out and lean on my sweet friend Bailey Domangue in all that she's doing to make this Lent so very special. She and her friend Natalie Barker came together and did something very unique this Lenten season. And so again, Bailey, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today and just kind of sharing more. And again, like I just felt a prompting to do this recording as we are entering the last week of Lent and this very special week of Holy Week as Catholics. So again, welcome, and just kind of share a little bit about what you and Natalie did that was so special this Lenten season.
Yes, so thank you again for having me back on the podcast.
Absolutely.
But Natalie and I put together, obviously with the Lord, a group of women, and it was a group called, or it is a group called Rise 40. And so what we wanted to do in Rise 40 is just give women a space to really lean in and grow in different ways that we can form ourselves and different disciplines as well. Because especially in our Catholic faith, like discipline, the physical side of our faith is such a beautiful one. And so we wanted to lean into that and do that as a community because truly community, especially like with your mission on this podcast, is to give people access to information that just
Yes.
helps and to be in it together. And so that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to have a group that held each other accountable, that walked in different rhythms and different devotions and formation topics that we learned about, and just do it together and do it well, lean on each
Mm-hmm.
other, and the outcome has been really beautiful. So, the way the format of the program was that we have daily and weekly non-negotiables, and they're nothing we didn't want to overwhelm because we didn't,
Mm-hmm.
Lent is not a checklist. We didn't want to make Lent a checklist. We just wanted to invite women into, hey, these are healthy rhythms that are going to maybe take you away from some of the things that don't draw you closer to Christ and allow God that space to enter back in. So, one of the ways that we did that, for example, is we had like locks on our phones from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. So that was off limits because that time, well, one, you should be pretty much sleeping. But
Mm-hmm.
then two, those are big family times. And so if we're up on the phone scrolling, we're not praying. We're not talking to our spouse. We're not putting our children to sleep intentionally, and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And so same thing in the morning time. A lot of us, whether you have young children, older children, no children, regardless of that, that time first should belong to the Lord and to the people that are in your home, whoever that may look like.
I love
And
that.
so that was one of the things that we did. We also just invited everyone, like I said, to start their day with the Lord. So it was a short little prayer that we have. It's actually the background of my phone that Natalie put together for us.
Oh,
And it says, Lord, help me to rise with purpose and walk in your will. Amen. So something just super,
so simple.
like to the point and simple, like open your eyes. We're saying that. That way the
So
Lord gets the
beautiful.
first fruits of your day. And there were other little things like saying the St. Michael prayer. And then we invited everyone to read the daily gospels every day that go along with the Mass. And so that helps us in our journey to grow deeper into our faith and to dig into Jesus's life, which, if we're going into Easter, then what better way to celebrate his ministry and his life
Absolutely.
than to dive into it. And so with that, we also invite people to go to either adoration or our daily mass once a week. And then just to incorporate also rosary or Divine Mercy Chaplet and some other things. And so we want everybody to go back to the sacrament of confession. And so through the course of the whole program, we had professionals come in one a week that would speak to the formation topic. And so we started with identity, then we went to sorry, it's been a long Lent.
Yeah.
We started with identity, and then we went to discipline and devotion, and then healing and restoration, sacred femininity, and then this week is mission and purpose. So kind of our send-off topic.
Wow.
So each one has truly and beautifully built on the other. So we really want to
Mm-hmm.
start off with identity to just come to the root of like who are we as women? What is our role? And
I love that.
so cool enough, we've had women in our group that were from about age 24, 25 to I think 67 was our oldest. So each one in each different place in their life got to pour into others, and the community
Mm.
aspect has been really, really cool. One of the most powerful things I think in the group outside of that, the different perspectives was that we did an optional book club. So I know it
Okay.
sounds like a lot of things, but it was just here's the program. We all committed to these non-negotiables, these little shifts and invitations to just give God more priority in your day. But
Mm-hmm.
then they had these additional things where if you have the capacity to, we'd love to have you with us. And we read through Emily Wilson's uh, Sincerely Stoneheart. And it is
Okay.
written in the same tone as the Screw Tape Letters, which if listeners, if
Oh.
you're not familiar, Screw Tape Letters is one of C.S. Lewis's like huge monumental works. And essentially it is written in the tone of a uncle demon mentoring a nephew demon. And it gets into how temptation and basically spiritual warfare works. But Emily
Mm-hmm.
Wilson wrote Sincerely Stoneheart, which is written specifically for women. And every single letter pierces your heart in some type
Oh
of
my
way. And I think
goodness.
there's 47. There
Okay. That
is
might be my next
42.
book. Okay.
42. And it's written in letters. So it's 42 letters. It's not that long though. So it's 207 pages. So it's
Okay.
not that long. So each letter though focuses on something different and it just like it's
Hits
very
at the
clear.
core.
It's very clear. Yeah. And so that book club has been really cool to like drop perspective and how those different things have come about. And so what I also love about it is that it's modern. She wrote it in the middle of COVID, I want to say, when
Okay.
everything was a little unclear. And so it's very modern, talks about phone usage and scrolling and all the things that women of all ages really
Mm-hmm.
struggle with. And so that's been a really cool thing for us. And um, the last thing that I would say has been really beneficial for a lot of people is movement. So the physical side of things, we incorporated movement in our day. The minimum was 5 minutes a day of intentional movement, whatever that looked like in your capacity, whether it's walking, stretching, running, whatever that looks like. At minimum, you're moving your body intentionally and just doing that for 5 minutes a day. So that's been a wonderful drawback, and a lot of women have gotten even more extensively back into a exercise regimen. And
Love
so
that.
we're body, soul, and spirit. And so we tried to really intentionally lay out ways that were simple, ways that we can follow through and hold each other accountable, but ways that invite us to honor our bodies, our souls, and our spirits in a productive way that wasn't a checklist.
Yeah, that's beautiful. A couple of things came up. The first interviews with Table Talk were focusing on identity, and um, and again, like in a spiritual sense, like our identity as who we are. But the work that I do on like the clinical side is identity in like our motherhood, and I see how impacted women are when like their feeding journey isn't going well, and how that pierces right at their identity of who they are as a mom. And so I love that the first week you focused on just who we are as women and our identity of like daughters of the Lord. And
Mhm.
because again, like you, if that's not rooted, then you have a hard time when the things around us, like when feeding goes difficult. um, you
Or
kind of
anything in
lose,
motherhood.
yeah, you lose the footing really quickly. And
Yeah.
so
And that was the
um
big thing, I think, especially for mothers. Well, first we want to start off with identity because if you don't know who you are,
yeah.
the truth about who you are, how can
Yes.
you go into the rest of it? And
Yes.
so,
Love it.
one of the big focuses that we had was keeping proper order in life. So first we're called to be daughters, no matter what else we are. And so we really dove in on the fact that no matter what title, one of the journal questions that we have, because we also offer journaling questions
Hmm.
each week based on the formation topic. And one of the questions that I know a lot of people had trouble with was, how would you introduce yourself to someone without saying your vocation or what you do as a job? And I think if you sit back and think about it, that might be really, really difficult for some people listening. That was
Yes.
probably a really, really difficult question for myself at different points in life. But
Mm-hmm.
now I feel I would love to tell you the answer to that question, because I do feel so confident in my daughterhood and who God has made me to be. Because if any time in life, if you are wife first, if you are mother first, if you are teacher, feeding therapist, nurse, whatever you are first, and you're not daughter, everything else is going to be disorder. Like that chaos that you might feel right
So
now,
true.
mama, listening to this, maybe it's because you need to be daughter first, you know?
So,
So
yes.
be Bailey, be Ashley
Yes. Yes.
first with God. And I know that sounds maybe impractical for a new mom, probably sitting here listening with her newborn baby, but be fill in the blank first, and that
Mm-hmm.
will give you so much more peace.
That's amazing. Yes, for sure. It does. It brings to why things slowly unravel around us and the self-reliance that comes from not being able to rest in daughter first.
Mhm.
And I've learned that the hard way, and I'm still kind of like unpacking that.
I think we all
Um,
have to.
yeah,
Like you have to be daughter first, and I think the only way that you see the fruit of that is when you see the rotten fruit of not. Just like
absolutely.
so many other things, you earn that wisdom
Hmm.
because you've seen the other side, but you've seen the other side, so you're so convinced and convicted that no, it has to be this way.
Absolutely. I was talking to someone, I've had this conversation twice this week about how, like, particularly women who go into professions who are like, I want to be a such and such when I grow up. And you put the eye on the prize and you work and you work and you strive and you get there. And then the day that you become that blank, this abyss kind of stands in front of you. And then you start going like, I don't even know who I am. Like what I was striving for, okay, I hit that and boom, you don't even realize who you are because all you've been laser focused on up to this point is that. And you lost yourself amongst that striving. And so again, like just to know like Bailey Domangue gets that, and she has in this Lenten period spoken directly into that and like facilitated women to go back to the basic of like who they are. And so if you are feeling like I'm lost, like okay, yeah, Lent's almost over, but go and spend time in this 40 days of the rise that you did. Like go back and spend time there. It's okay. Like it because I mean, obviously, there's no other way to spend that time than with the Lord,
Yeah.
getting to
And
know who you are.
absolutely, one of the big fat reminders, especially, I posted something in our group. It was maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and I said to the women, I said, look, if you were feeling a little distraught, if you were feeling like maybe you didn't do Lent well or
Mm-hmm.
accomplish Lent well, like one, you're in good company, and two, Lent isn't
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be a personal development project.
Yeah.
That can absolutely be the byproduct of what you're focusing on,
Yeah.
but Lent is not a self-development project. It is the wilderness. If we look at where Lent comes from, it comes from Jesus' 40 days in the desert being tempted by Satan before his public ministry. He knew where he was going, he had an end goal, but he had to be tested in the hardest, most difficult way.
Mm-hmm.
That was not comfortable. That did not feel like a self-development time. That was Satan literally prying on every single human desire that Jesus now embodied because he was God and human. Um, and one of the things I brought up in with our women too was that if you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs and
Mm-hmm.
you read the exact way that Satan tempted God or Jesus, I'm sorry, he followed the hierarchy. And it's
Yes.
crazy because I wanted to use it as a reminder, like Satan knows because he's a fallen angel, the knowledge that angels have, they understand humans. They know our desires, they know all the things. And so it's like you're literally in this battle with a being that is fighting, both sides are fighting for your soul, right? But
Yes.
one's voice is very distinctly different than the other.
Yeah.
The one that is built on lies is not the one that you want to follow. And so one of the ways that we talked about was like, okay, well, how do you know God's voice? And it's like, get in the Gospels. Open your, like, read your Bible. And that's why we had everyone read the daily Gospels, because it's like, okay, if you want to follow his voice, you have to know what that sounds like and what the character of God is. And that's what you find in the Gospels because you see Jesus's life. But anybody who feels like maybe Lent has not gone the way they would imagined, I would just remind you it is wilderness, it is the
Mhm.
desert. That is not comfortable. It's not fun. Feels icky if these things are coming up. Like I know for myself, things have come up and I'm like, whew, that does not feel good. But
Mhm.
thank you because this is what this is for. This is so that going into Easter, I can be an Easter woman that is so joyful in the resurrection because these things that are really thorning out, they're out or they're
Mhm.
exposed at least and some light's getting in there. You know, we can continue to develop those things and bring it to confession, bring it to wherever we need for purging, right? And pruning. And so just know if your Lent has felt like a desert, you're in good company. That's exactly what Jesus's
Yeah.
Lent, his 40 days in the desert was. And so use Holy Week, get in the confessional, talk to
Mhm.
good friends, get some guidance by people who you trust and love and have your best interest in mind, and are spiritual leaders and sisters for you, because that's what Easter's for, is to be an Easter person, to be able to celebrate in the resurrection, which makes all the difference.
Amen. So you brought up Holy Week. So shifting into this upcoming week, what are you doing to kind of prep yourself and even be able to just take in this beautiful week that our church has set aside as the
Yeah.
most important week of the liturgical year?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's what separates Christianity from any other
Yeah.
anything is the overcoming of death. And so I think my plan going into Holy Week is to really just set aside some time, and be way more intentional of, okay, these things that have felt uncomfortable in Lent, we need to dig into those deeper. Like I need to go to confession. I need to sit
Mhm.
even more so with the word. I need to focus on, okay, this is revealed why, and just kind of continue
Mhm.
getting curious. That was another challenge is like, okay, if these things are
Okay.
coming up, get really curious. Just keep digging. They can get to the root and figure out where this is coming from. And so for me, I think it's just being like mothers, wives, like you're the heart of the house. And
Mhm.
so really setting the stage for myself by quiet reflection, getting curious, and setting myself up for the grace of confession. Um, that way, the tone of my home can reflect that, and to where everyone else can easier and guided enter into Holy Week as well. And
Yeah.
so, kids will be home from school.
Right.
There's different things that we can do, different programs that we can go to really make the Holy Week alive in a special way. And so, those are the things that we have planned.
Yeah, and so you have three little kids, so that
Mhm.
might look different than it has in previous years
Yeah.
because your time might not be all of yours. So I think, how would you encourage a mom who may be in a busy stage where getting away to adoration or mass or extra time um, of quiet might not be very easy?
I think it can be really easy to think about quantity over quality.
Hmm.
And so one of the things that we really encourage women is that, okay, we say each week, go to either a daily mass if your schedule allows. Most people, that's not possible. Go to
Hmm.
adoration. Okay. If you think adoration means an hour sitting in front of the Blessed Sacrament, it could. It could. It could
Hmm.
also mean walking into a church, putting your hand in the holy water, sign of the cross, I love you, Lord, thank you,
Yes.
and walking back out. Um, Quality over quantity. And so if it's 5 minutes, if it's 1 minute, surely there's at least 1 minute, one
Yes.
minute somewhere. And if you can't, then reorder your life in any capacity that you can to create that 1 minute. We have
Yes.
24 hours, and I know, and I keep thinking of the overwhelmed new mom or whatever it might be. Um, there's a minute in your day where you can just thank
And
you,
don't
Lord.
put a box around what the Lord can do in that
Yeah.
very short amount of time. I mean, beautiful things have come from pretty short amount of time when I've just given my simple yes.
Mhm.
And I think also being okay being in the silence
Mhm.
and not feeling like you have to make something happen
Yes.
with
Yes.
that very little yes.
Yes. Because I think some of the coolest promptings I've ever gotten have been in the middle of life. And
Mm-hmm.
so one of the things that we really pride ourselves on was that this is built for real life within real life. Because
Mm-hmm.
Natalie and I, she has three young children, I have three young children, both doing other things. And so the way that it was built was to fit into what real life looks like.
Right.
And so I'd say if you're a mom that you feel super overwhelmed, like don't be afraid to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Please ask for help. And if people offer help, accept help. I know that feels like these are my children, he's responsible for them, whatever that looks like, that's fine. And I need you to also check your pride if that's what your response is,
Right.
because you need help. Like nobody can do it on their own. And if you feel like you absolutely cannot even give God a minute of your time, I would also invite you to check in a loving way, check your screen time on your phone. Because that's a really big reality check. And that was one of the things that prompted us to say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, 8 to 8, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And so maybe that sounds harsh, tough love, whatever it is. I want to say you can do it. You
Yeah.
have ability, ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely.
And just really consider priorities too, because there has to at least be, and I say 1 minute as the bare minimum, right? But you can do it while you're holding your precious baby.
Mm-hmm.
You're feeding all the beatitudes, like you're
Yeah.
clothing the naked, you're
Mm-hmm.
helping the
Yeah.
sick, you're feeding the hungry, like you're
Absolutely.
doing the things. And it's not that you
Mm-hmm.
have to do it, but don't discount the fact that you are absolutely doing what God has called you to in this moment. Your prayer life does not look the same as when you were a college student and you had hours among hours to sit in a chapel and journal and talk to God all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you caring for your children, you taking care of your home, that is a moving and working prayer. And so that is, don't discount that. It may not
Yeah.
feel the same, but it, like, God sees you exactly where you are. But
Absolutely.
going into Holy Week, I would definitely say if you have a moment, create a moment, make a moment, ask for help so you can get a moment, whatever it may be, take that and really, whatever God has for you, whatever you can give to the Lord, I promise He'll give back, and
You'll
ask God for the
multiply it.
capacity. Yes.
Yes.
One of my favorite
Absolutely.
prayers is like when I feel overwhelmed, I'm like, God, if this is what you called me to, if this is what you want me to do, you're gonna have to give me the capacity because I don't feel like I have it right now. So
Mm-hmm.
Lord, just grant me your grace to do and be what you need me to be. And if this is what you want, please give me the capacity to do it.
I love
And
that.
when it is right, the time and the capacity is there.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I think that we can close with that being our prayer for all of us as we enter Holy Week, wherever you are in your faith journey, wherever you are in your season of motherhood, that we do. We just give a simple yes, and we ask the Lord to multiply whatever amount of time we give to Him,
Mhm.
and He's already waiting, and so you are just accepting that invitation that he's already given to you. So yeah, so do you think y'all are gonna put God's will be done? Do you think y'all do the little 40 rise companion again next year?
I don't know. That is something
Okay.
that has been our prayer because from the beginning, people have really loved it. We've really enjoyed
Hmm.
it. That's something
Hmm.
her and I will be continuing the conversation on is what does it look like from here? So stay tuned.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in the meantime, if someone wants to learn a little bit more about what it is, where can they find some more information about your companion, Lenten
Yeah,
companion?
so we are a group that went from this Lent to the end of Lent. So we will be going through Holy Week. So
Okay.
it will be done at Holy Week. But on our social media, I'm sure you will see wherever it goes and
Hmm.
what maybe a next opportunity would be for
Hmm.
any type of group or community. But my on Instagram, we're both very active. So my Instagram is at Bailey Domangue spelled out, and then Natalie is at Colors by Natalie. It might be dot art. I can
Okay.
confirm. But hers, if you just type in Colors by Natalie, you'll
Yeah, you'll
see
find it.
she's on there. Yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for taking us through this little chit chat. This is so beautiful. It's something that I'm so glad that we get to speak about because it's so important and bringing to reality what we as moms go through regardless of where we are. And this Lent can be a very special time. Like we can't just use our excuses of, oh, motherhood has me so swamped. We can use that as our prayer. And so,
That should be the reason why,
yes,
not
yes,
the reason
yes,
to not. Mhm.
yes. So thank you so much for the time this morning. I know that it's going to bless many people. So until we talk again, thank you so much.
Thank you.